20,000 snakes of all shapes and sizes from all over the world have passed through his hands. Fascinated by their survival strategies and their ability to adapt to extreme environments, Xavier Bonnet tries to pierce their mysteries. This program traces his quest and his discoveries, an action-packed thriller that expands our knowledge of these frighteningly secret scaly species. Xavier sets up shop twice a year near the university in the park in Perth, West Australia. Why here? Because of the seagulls which scavenge for food waste dropped on terraces. These chip-eating gulls come into town, feed, and then fly back to Carnac Island, just off the coast. Locals call it the Island of Blind Snakes. Huge flocks of gulls nest and raise their chicks here, but at their peril. This is a very special place for Xavier. He often comes here with two of his students, Fabien and Stephanie, and his son Cyprien, nicknamed Lulu. 1622. We've been friends with that snake for years. It's a big male. He's been around for a long time. Xavier Bonnet is a herpetologist, the scientific name for snake charmer. This island is teeming with very dangerous tiger snakes, one of Xavier's favorite research topics. If I avoid the fangs, the snake can't kill me? No. That's because snakes inject the venom through their fangs. They have to bite you first. In fact, on Carnac Island, the gulls feed the tiger snakes. Without the gulls, there would be nothing else for the snakes to eat but rock. At first sight, the tiger snakes don't look too ferocious, but they're fast and deadly. The fifth most poisonous snakes on Earth. Without first aid, a man wouldn't last more than a few hours if he's bitten. The only prey for the snakes is gull chicks. Stuffed with waste scraps, brought in on the airlift. The strike force is due to the powerful venom. One drop is all it takes to kill the prey almost immediately. Easy to produce, always there in the venom glands, a rare weapon in the brotherhood of hunters. This is a chick. Let's put it in the stomach. Hold it there. Uncoil it downwards. We'll put the chick back in its stomach. Xavier likes to have fun while working, but he is an acknowledged expert in this field. Scientists must be rigorous, possess vast knowledge, be a little nonconformist, and have a good sense of humor. Xavier is studying the mechanism of natural selection, especially how this species survives on this strange island. Where's your chick got to, Dad? It's an odd feeling for a walker in the undergrowth teeming with serpents. The biggest difficulty for scientists working on snakes is to be able to observe them. Most snakes flee from man. On Carnac Island, there are hundreds of tiger snakes cooped up together on a few hectares, an excessively high population of predators feeding on an equally large population of gulls. There's even a world record set here in terms of the kilos of predator per square meter, 100 kilograms of snakes for 16 hectares. Is this one new? He's really little. So's this one. Here are 3 more. Xavier prefers to go snake hunting at dawn. As the sun rises, the tiger snakes climb to the bush tops to warm up before setting off for breakfast. Slowed by the chill of the night, they're at their most vulnerable. Our snakes are fast. We've got 6. He's really pulling. Lulu has to help. Xavier doesn't have enough hands. 280. Is this one new? Yes. And very strong. If you pull too hard, you'll hurt it. He really is strong. One could almost forget that these snakes are dangerous. They don't look aggressive, and Xavier handles them like spaghetti. He says catching tiger snakes is easy, as only one end is dangerous. He's funny. He's a beaut. He comes up to here on me. Xavier has been bitten by snakes several times, and once he was almost killed by one of these tiger snakes while he was bagging it. All part of the fun. Right, the skull is 34.62. I'll tell you how long. The method is simple in theory. All you have to do is walk around the island, capture the snakes, identify them, measure them, record their growth or their loss of weight, release them, and then recapture and measure them again at a later date. Analysis reveals the strategies the snakes adopt to survive. Patterns emerge like photos being developed. How much does it weigh? 63. Let's go that way. At least 2 alive down there. Must have been in weeks or months. What's certain is that a healthy snake that falls into a hole can survive for at least 6 months. One place on the island where Xavier is sure to trap snakes is this old well. Every time he visits, he climbs down it to pull out a few tiger snakes from their hiding places. Aren't you scared? No, no. There are 6. Have we got any bags? I don't think so, no. I can't see anything. This isn't very practical. He's in good shape. Is he big? Sure is, look at that. I'd better bag it down here, he's a little fidgety. There were birds living down here. The only way birds can adapt to a well like this is very simple. To live down here for as long as possible, they turn into mummies. That saves a lot of energy. They could live like that for thousands of years. Lulu? Would you like some spider juice? Ah, there's a big one. How's this one? I don't know. Every time Xavier visits the well, he finds tiger snakes with serious head injuries. This one's completely blind. This wound looks recent. Another tiger snake has a very large scar right across the top of its head. Its eyes are totally destroyed. The first time Xavier found snakes like this, he marked them and measured them, but was convinced that they would die very soon. The marking method is very simple. Each scale represents a unit of 10. Xavier gives a code to each of the snakes by cutting and burning a scale. Once marked, the injured snakes are released. For him too, this is a sort of natural experiment. How long can a snake with so many wounds survive with nothing to eat in this cold habitat? It's a commonly held belief that predators need to be able to see. In nature, blind animals do not live long after mutilation. The snakes probably fell into the well because they're blind. However, they survived. Heat, smell, and taste are quite obviously enough to find the gull chicks they eat. For Xavier, this observation opened up a whole new world. Let's see how their eyes are doing. Do you know that one? I'm not sure. I'll tell you in a moment. Can I see the eyes? Look. Wait. He really can't see anything. The damaged eyes and head wounds mean he's completely blind, and yet he manages to survive. What wounded the tiger snakes so badly? Tigers are among the most powerful snakes on Earth and master poisoners. So what dared to attack the tiger snakes on the beach? The gulls. They trapped the snakes in a bush. Injured and missing some scales, the snake can only flee. And the whole gull population of the dune is mobilized in a systematic snake-killing frenzy. Xavier's gulls have led to several very interesting articles on the blind tiger snakes of Carnac, a sort of real-time laboratory for the evolutionary process. Like Darwin's finches, tiger snakes adapted little by little to the specific conditions on the island. The way the blinded tiger snakes prosper proves that here sight is an optional luxury, an unneeded part of their genetic heritage which could disappear over time. Xavier would like to come back here 200,000 years in the future. Changing hemispheres following the snake trail, we are now in China on the Bohai Sea coast, about 1,000 kilometers east of Beijing. Shedao is a tiny island. In Chinese, the name means small dragon mountain. At first sight, it is just a dry rock, about 30 hectares in surface. However, this island is an exceptional place. To protect it from snake smugglers and reptilotherapists, the Chinese authorities have declared Shedao a national park, the only one in the world dedicated to snakes. It is situated on an avian flight path connecting Siberia to the warm lands of southern Asia. Twice a year in autumn and spring, millions of migrating birds interrupt their journey to rest on the island. Time and geography played a bad trick on the snakes of Shedao. Before the last ice age, they used to hunt rodents. At that time, the island was part of continental Asia. All creatures, prey and predators, were free to come and go, until the day the glaciers started to melt and the water level rose. Every animal that could fly or run fled to the continent, but all the others were trapped on the small islands. This was the case for the Shedao snakes, the Gloydius, a sort of rattlesnake without a rattle, which flourished in this region. With such an enormous ecological change, they had to adapt or die. Many must have starved to death, but some managed to survive by changing their hunting technique radically. Today there are 20,000 descendants of these Gloydius, the 20,000 Shedaoensis, which live on this 30-hectare island. The island is literally carpeted with snakes. A glorious success story for evolution and a magnet for Xavier and François, an apprentice herpetologist. They savor the welcoming spiderwebs in the Shedao thickets. There's one snake for every square meter. When you walk around, this is what happens. When it tries to get away, hang on to the tail, but watch out for the head. Do I put my foot on its head? No, you can catch it without doing that. It will try to get away in that direction. Watch out for its head. If the head turns towards you, let it go. Watch out, it's turning. It's beating its tail. Yes, it's going to flee. It's swishing its tail to tell you it's going to bite you. Let it go. Watch out for its head. Watch out. Let it go. It's stuck under a stone. Avoid it. You can catch it when it stretches out. It's too short, but it will uncoil. Never put your hand in that position. Look, it's stuck under its rock. Only put your hand in if you're wearing gloves. With gloves there are no problems, but without gloves, you see you've got to let it go. There it is. Catch it. Watch out though. It's coming back fast. It's coming back fast. It's easy to do, but you have to keep your eyes on the head all the time. It's coming out to rest. Step on it, but not too hard. It's got no strength left. Then block the head with a stick. Then come in from behind. I press it hard there. No, not too hard, it's soft. Feel the jaws. There, with that finger I can feel a jaw, and in the other as well, the joint. Can you press strongly? No, not strongly. They're all soft. Well, let's get it into a clearing so you can release it. François is highly aware that these snakes are extremely venomous. Xavier is only just recovering from a bite from a tiger snake, and Mr. Soon, his Chinese colleague, was bitten by a Gloydius just a few hours after they arrived. Check that the head's safely under your foot, because if you pull the snake and the head's released, he could bite back at you very quickly. You check that the head's held firmly. Do you think you've got it held firm? Yes, the body. Now you can catch the tail without a problem. Hold the pointed end. And never lose sight of the snake, okay? It's very strong, isn't it? Yes, and after that you can lift it, but if it turns its head to bite you, drop it. It'll get tired very quickly. If you hold it like that, it can coil upwards. But after a time it gets tired? Yes, it gets tired quickly. Completely? Yes, and then it gives up. That's what it's doing now. Okay, so it's only really dangerous at the beginning. Well, this is a big one. I don't think I want to handle it straight away. I'd rather wait. Look at him jump. The evolutionary secret of the Gloydius snakes is simple: frugal habits and opportunity. For 10 months a year, there's nothing to eat, so they sleep. For 2 months, in spring and autumn, they hunt and eat as much as possible. Now we are in October, and the Gloydius are gradually waking up from a 5-month siesta, scale by scale. The thousands of snakes set out together to climb the bushes on the island. Each chooses a branch. For some, waking up is more difficult than for others. That one's pretty. When they're small, they're less dangerous. Look, he's going to stretch out. That's less frightening. Why not try to handle it? It's quite easy. Oh, I'm crushing its head. Move your fingers a little so you can feel the jaw. Pull the body up a little further between your fingers. Okay, I see. Up. The body's lifting and coiling upwards. There we are, I'm holding my first snake. It is small after the big ones. Use all your fingers. All my fingers. To hold it. All your fingers. Like that. Because it could wriggle free. That's not true for all species of snakes. There are some snakes you cannot catch by hand. In some snakes, the fangs are longer than the head. So that makes it impossible. In fact, many herpetologists have been bitten like that. They did not realize the snakes had such long fangs, that they could be bitten although the technique works well on other snakes. Look out, this is the dangerous phase. You see, it's not very complicated. But don't get overconfident. The danger is that by the time you've caught 10, it seems easy. You never get bitten by the first snake you pick up. You slip into bad habits. Once they have climbed onto the branches, these Gloydius Shedaoensis are no longer scared of man. All of the other snakes in this film have to be approached with the utmost of caution. The Gloydius are totally laid back. This indifference helps Xavier observe previously unknown behavior patterns, in particular, the way these snakes hunt, which is usually impossible to observe in nature. Here it is easy. He's eaten a small bird. This species only lives on Shedao. Millions of years ago, when the sea level rose, the snakes became imprisoned on the island. They adapted to local conditions. In fact, they were able to survive and even flourish because the island became a rest stop for migrating birds. These snakes used to hunt on land. Now they're more frequently seen on branches than on the ground. Oh, he's going inside. Is there a hole? Yes. Let's try this one then. Didn't he move fast? They really know their territory well. François and Xavier try to get the snakes to attack by dangling different kinds of food on the end of a fishing rod. The objective of this study is to describe the hunting process phase by phase. Is it smell, movement, or size which provokes the attack? For the moment, no one knows. This one's digesting something. He's not happy. So it's time for a sandwich. There are so many birds. They encircle the chicks. The birds have to stop here despite the snakes because there's food and water. I'm sure they think the risk is worth it. Shedao is unique because it's the only place in which so many snakes lie in ambush. To catch the birds, the snakes hang out like they're a spider's web. The key word for the way the island operates is migration. Hundreds of thousands of birds fly over the island every year. Birds of prey travel the migration route without a break. They glide, inaccessible, built for long-range flight. But the small sparrows have to take a break, and Shedao is the first landing spot after a long journey over the waves. Some stop to peck some seeds or simply to rest. Others only come to drink. Many never leave. Like on Carnac Island, migrating birds are the only possible source of food for the snakes. Totally sedentary Gloydius snakes stranded on Shedao cannot leave their island or migrate with their prey. When the birds fly in, they eat their fill for 3 or 4 weeks. The rest of the year they sleep under stones, safe from the frost and the predators. Mammals have to eat every day or they die very quickly. The Gloydius eat twice a year and flourish. This is how they evolved on Shedao. There you go. With luck, each snake on Shedao can catch a dozen birds each hunting season. That's quite enough for its energy needs. The snakes can then go without food for 6 months to a year without reducing their chances of survival. There are 20,000 snakes on the island, which means that they eat at least 200,000 birds every spring and every autumn. The Shedao Park wardens have installed small concrete tanks on the island to catch rainwater. These attract thirsty birds. The birds are prized by the snakes. Bunched up like an accordion or coiled like a spring, a snake cannot attack anything further away than about 30 centimeters from its mouth. So it's not that easy to catch a fast-moving bird. But although an individual snake is handicapped, the group wins out by putting a hunter each branch below each bird perch. Each snake eats in turn, and sometimes there are up to 50 snakes waiting for food around the water tank. The water tanks are like magnets. They pull the migrating birds down from the sky into the Gloydius throats. The birds only spend a few seconds in the same place, so the hunter has little time to react. As soon as the prey enters the killing zone, it strikes. The strong venom is easy to produce, so the snake can use it freely. If it catches the bird immediately, so much the better. If the bird is bitten but manages to fly off, it cannot go far before it crashes into the brush a few seconds later. The snake would probably have been happier with a lighter prey. During the hunting season, a lot of prey is lost as birds fall undetected into the brush or are too big to be swallowed. But the snakes are thorough, and very little goes to waste. Like Russian dolls, the further down a bush, the bigger the snake. If a prey is too big, the first snake drops it to snakes lower down. This solidarity ensures the survival of the marooned snakes of Shedao. Not all island snakes are stranded. Banded sea crate have evolved in a totally different way. To complete his studies on Carnac and Shedao, Xavier is now in New Caledonia. He could have found a more unpleasant place to install his temporary research laboratory, but as he says, snakes have two endearing features. They live in sunny spots and wake up late in the morning. For this research campaign, Xavier is accompanied by Yvonne Inech, a colleague from the Paris Natural History Museum, and Julie Alatas, a volunteer. Every year they visit the site to make a systematic survey of the banded sea crate, or striped Jersey snake, a truly astonishing sea serpent. During the course of evolution, the banded crate left land and learned how to swim. Unlike the tiger snakes and the Gloydius, which sleep while they wait for the birds to return, the banded sea crate goes fishing for its supper. the sea serpents are extraordinarily flexible and adapt easily. Their being swimmers gives Xavier an interesting element for comparison in his studies. The snakes find a wide range of responses to enable them to survive in unexpected habitats, like this wreck. The warm plating of the old cargo boat is alive with both species of sea crate, yellow and blue. Both enjoy this solarium. It helps them to digest. Their sun lounge never gets too warm for them, and it's not too visible for predators. When they've finished digesting, they slide off, energized, to pursue their main activities, molting and reproducing. I caught a snake in this bag. It is a laticode laticodate. This snake is lethal if it bites you. But as it is a friend, I think I'm safe. You can make quite unique jewelry with this. In New Caledonia, the banded sea crate is a celebrity. There's just no way you can avoid seeing it. However, its biology is relatively unknown. Xavier and Yvan are addressing the basic ecology of banded sea crates. It's impossible to envisage the twists and the turns of evolution if you do not know what a snake eats or where it lives. Their ecological studies start with a census of local population, alternating phases of captures and recaptures. So Xavier and Yvan continue to mark specimens that they release and hope to recapture them later. This is a curious game that works out well with the banded sea crate. If they manage to recapture a snake they have marked, the place where it's caught will tell them if it's sedentary or moves around a lot. They'll take its measurements to see if it's lost weight or gained weight. The time and circumstances of its capture will give an indication of its lifestyle. You can only see banded sea crates when they're on the beaches. But land travel is only a very small part of their daily life. Once they're in the sea, nobody knows where they go. Back on the beach, they crawl into the brush to hide from the birds of prey as quickly as they can. The marking sessions are followed by field work in the brush near the beach. Snake hunters peer into every nook and cranny and often get surprises. Stop here. Look, this warren has collapsed. I can see an anticondata. I'm going to catch it. There in the crack, can you see? Just put in your hand and catch it. This is a caved-in warren. I've never seen a snake that color. Look at that. Nobody's ever seen one like that before. That's excellent. Extraordinary. Never seen it before. Not marked. Yellow. And it's digesting a moray. That color's incredible. It wasn't deep down. I'd love to know what sort of animal lives here. It was with another snake, but I couldn't see what it was. The two scientists use a micro camera to track snakes hiding under the ground. Tell me which way to go. Straight on, now forwards and then down. Then up again, okay. Now straight on. Then you've got to get past a pile of sand. They're so far in, you need 30 centimeters more. Perhaps there are several. It's moving. I think it's a nest of snakes. Look, that's a Laticodata. And there's a Colubrina as well. You really need confidence when you put your hand down holes that are probably full of poisonous snakes, but the risk seems to be worth it. Yesterday we didn't know where they were hiding. We thought they might be going there. We saw red ones going in, but we never saw any blue snakes. Xavier and Yvan's tiny camera has unraveled part of the secret of how banded sea kraits behave on land. After a small victory, Xavier is thinking about the next step already. Dusk is the best time for observing Laticodata. This is when the snakes leaving their hiding places to reach the sea cross those returning from fishing, who are going to hide underground. Xavier releases the snakes caught during the day at this cool period. At dusk, great flocks of birds return from the sea. Quite obviously, banded sea kraits are also active at night, and the scientists continue to capture them. Where are the hooks? Here. By observing the banded sea kraits, Xavier's discovered that the warrens belong to the returning birds. It will be very interesting to observe the reactions of the warren owners to their poison-fanged tenants. These seabirds are puffins. Their strange croak means they have come here to breed. They nest in deep warrens dug into the dunes. This is the mating season. I can see a beak. Go in. He kicked me. Did you see? Yeah, with his beak. A bit further. More to the right. Go ahead. Right, there's a snake. A blue, a Laticodata with a big moray. At the end of the chamber, they're sheltered in the warmth, just right for digesting. His belly's distended. He's just captured a prey. He'll be like that for several days. But that's a bird warren. Yes, because the snakes go all the way in, just where the birds are incubating. It's mating time for the birds, and our female snakes are also ready to lay. Incredible. Yes, the birds and the snakes are going to lay at the same time. It would be interesting to find out if the snakes lay in the warrens and if the birds hatch the snakes' eggs for them. Snakes benefit from the temperature and the shelter. And obviously the snakes don't bother the birds. We should come back in a month or two and check the warrens and find out if there are snakes' eggs among the bird eggs the puffins are hatching. Okay, pull out the camera. Xavier will have to return to confirm his theory that the birds participate in hatching snakes' eggs. The fact that the snakes digest in the warrens is interesting in itself. The next step will be to examine the aquatic life of the striped Jersey snakes, and there's only one way to do that: to take the plunge. This morning, Xavier almost made an exciting observation. When he went diving, he was watched by an extraordinarily rare beast, which had only been encountered in recorded history in 1870 by a naturalist who named it the Phoboscincus. Xavier did not see the long, curved, pointed teeth of this giant lizard, which was thought to have died out many years ago. It was Ivan Inech, lazing on the beach, who was lucky enough to see this lost treasure. The lizard could not have fallen into better hands. Apart from this anecdote, Xavier and Yvon now know that banded sea kraits feed in the sea. As they have found many different species of moray in their stomachs. They prospect the holes in the coral reefs. As they move around, they avoid the morays, which are much too big for them. Obviously, the morays are trying to avoid them too. Sometimes the banded sea kraits mysteriously disappear. It's no coincidence that this shark often has snake on the menu. A good reason for leaving. Underwater, Xavier is much less mobile than on land, as he has to prospect the infinite maze of the coral reefs. He decides to watch snake hunting. No one has yet discovered how they catch their prey. This one, swimming back towards the beach, has a full belly. It's easy to make him regurgitate his prey, a young dappled moray. The digestive juices have already dissolved the head, an encouraging clue. Like a detective, Xavier files this. He will ask a specialist to identify the moray and fill in the details about how and where it lives. If he can find out where the moray lives, he has a good chance of finding where the snakes go fishing. Handling serpents underwater is a cumbersome and even dangerous business. No more long amorphous tubes. Here, striking fangs are very close to fingers and face. There's no way of knowing where the lethal heads are located in the writhing mass. This 100-headed gorgon gives Xavier a problem. Later, he told us that he really felt he was in danger. Frightening when you know how phlegmatic he is. This time, he decides not to follow the banded sea kraits into the deep water, where they obviously go fishing. With snakes, you have to know when to stop and take a step back. Snake hunters are inspired by the flowing beauty of striped Jersey snakes. This is Time for Thought.